3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Ahoy, friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do.
So am I.
Where the hell am I? This is the Dennis and Andy show. I'm all turned around. Where's the... Oh, there's the camera. Hello, everybody. Good morrow. Oh, wait, that's tomorrow. Good afternoon.
Good something.
Good something.
He's all discombobulated.
I'm so discombobulated. I'm not at my house. This is the Dennis and Andy show. You're at the right place. I, however, am at Dennis's pad, hanging out. Dennis bribed me by saying, after this, I've got the original Top Gun in 4K. And I'm like, well, hell yeah, because we're seeing Maverick on Friday. So we need to relive some of the past Top Gun goodness.
So you notice how I have to bribe him just to come over. Actually, Courtney's down watching Star Wars right now. So life is good. So we have plenty of time for us to do our Wednesday show.
That's right. Then we'll go out to dinner. And like I said, come back, watch Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
We have Val's in the chat. Hello, Val. Randy Howell. Hello. The perfect present for you, if that's right. Marcus is here. Oh, thank you very much, Marcus. I appreciate it. He got it. So that's all good. Randy, good news. Lots of reports come in from private screens at Top Gun Maverick, and it's a hit. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. No woke garbage in that movie, hopefully.
That's what we're hoping for.
And,
so, Andy, who do we have on for our interview tonight?
We are going to be talking with C Vaughn. He is the writer-creator of Al Capone Vampire #1, and that's who we're chatting. So let's bring him on. Well, good afternoon,
gentlemen.
Well, welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it.
You know, hopefully we can spread the word for you and get some talk around the book and stuff. That's what we always try to do.
It is live. This is not a recorded one.
No, this is not. This is live. It's not Memorex.
I'll tell you that if this morning could have been recorded, I would have done that. But no, we're live.
Oh no, we are totally live.
We just do some of our like movie reviews. We started doing more pre-recorded ones to put them out there. We were doing everything live, and it's just a lot of times easier for us to do that. But no, on our Wednesday shows, they're almost always live.
Exactly.
That's good. I know Niall and Billy are recording some of the stuff on the Pop XP channel now too. And I help out with a few of those shows every once in a while. So that's good.
Yep. Val, first man, 100% Comicscape, 0% soy. You got that right. And if you want
I take it the audience here is not in their pajamas.
No, I would say no.
No, I would say not.
Well, I mean, you know, Dennis is, because he only wears a nightshirt to bed. And I know that because for some odd reason, he didn't feel like he had to put shorts on when I came over. So thank God you're only seeing sleeveless.
I literally just had a room with him all weekend at XCon. So don't let him con you, audience. He's full of it. I wear shorts for almost everybody.
The sad part is we were at XCon in this condo, and it had a bedroom with 2 queen size beds and a little kitchenette, and then the living room area where my daughter was sleeping on a Murphy bed. And in the bedroom, my wife and I were on one queen bed, and Dennis and his wife were on another queen bed. And let me tell you, in the middle of the night, the last thing I want to hear Dennis say is, "Susie, those aren't pillows." And I was like, "Helen, just act like you're asleep. Just act like you're asleep."
And she goes, "That's okay, Andy. I just watched Trains, Planes, and Automobiles too."
Exactly. How about those bears? Anyhow.
And I did know what you were quoting.
See?
Of course, everybody in our age range better know what that reference. If they don't, well, they have not
And
seen one of
my
the
first
best
career
movies.
was in the rent-a-car business, so I love Edie McClurg's scene in that movie.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was, for part of that time, I was a bus driver, and I did drop people where they weren't supposed to go when they were jerks.
Oh, gotta do what you gotta do.
Is the Big Lick convention you're going to? It's a comic show, right?
It is a comic show. I'm not quite sure why they call it Big Lick, but it's in Roanoke, Virginia in August, and we'll both be there. So.
Yep, and it is. It's a good comic convention, and so yeah, if you're in the area, it is worth hitting up because I know y'all like the comic books.
Yeah. So anyhow, JC, tell us a little bit about yourself. Dennis always likes to ask the kickoff question.
The kickoff question is your origin story. How did you get involved with comics, which ultimately led to this campaign?
I as a little kid only read comics on car trips, or there was one shoe store where I used to score some like gold keys, like Torok and Solar.
At a shoe store?
Yeah. They just had them there to keep the kids from crying, I guess. And it worked because I became fascinated with them, but it was the only place I ever saw them. I never saw them on the newsstand. In 1975, we had a 2 years. I grew, like I said, before we came on, I mentioned that I grew up in Pittsburgh originally, and we had a 2-year stint in Northern Jersey. And that's where I discovered allergies, and it was wonderful. And I missed like 5 weeks of school. It said my lungs sounded like a death rattle. And my brother bought me some comics. And that was the first time, other than being in a car, that I had ever sat and read comics, and Captain America 188.
Oh, there you go. You remember the number.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was done. That's it. I was in for life.
Now I'm trying to remember, 188. Was that
It's
Sal
the
Buscema or was that Frank Robbins?
It's the Alchemoid. Right now, I'm blanking on if it's Robbins or not. I know Robbins surrounds it, but I don't remember that issue specifically.
Yeah.
I immediately got that there was a history that I didn't know all of, and whatever it was really resonated with me. My dad was a little too young to be in World War II, but he remembered it vividly. His brother was in it. And so, and I was raised in a really patriotic household in the middle of freaking Vietnam. So, yeah, so it was just, Captain America was an outlet. I loved it. I was hooked. And shortly thereafter, we moved back to Pittsburgh. I discovered I met my best friend because I had a Marvel Mead Trapper Keeper notebook, and they sat me behind him in Harry Luby's fourth period math class. I had the only open seat in the thing. Sat down. He looked at my notebook. Goes, "Do you read comics?" And that was either a good thing or a death sentence in those days. And I just rolled the dice and answered truthfully. And 47 years later, we're still best friends.
It's like, do you read comics? I don't know. What answer will you not?
Yeah. What answer do I?
What answer will I not get hit? Yes or no? You tell me.
And I pretty much within 2 or 3 years started writing my own ideas for stories. I didn't know anything about script format or anything else like that, but I started writing stuff down. The town I grew up in was basically a stone's throw from the town that Jim Shooter grew up in. Oh. So pretty much all the comic kids knew the story of this 13-year-old who had written comics. So why not? So I started writing. There you go, baby.
That's it. Gil Kane cover, and Randy said Sal Buscema on the inside. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
So um, I started writing stuff and wrote, even submitted a few things, got rejected, which led to a funny story later. And I moved to Texas. My dad at one point got laid off. The airline industry was like that for a long time, where that would just happen periodically. And I started working out at the airport at Avis Rent-A-Car and intended to be there for 3 months and had a 12-year career there. And I had reached a point where I was going to school the whole time. And I reached a point at about year 11, maybe just the tail end of year 10, where I was afraid not to do what I wanted to do. And it really put a good scare in me. And my bosses, who I'm still really great friends with, really supported me. They knew I wouldn't slack off at work, but they worked with me to change my days so I could travel, go to conventions, meet people, go to New York. My then girlfriend, I always say the first hot chick who gave me a hot comic book, I kept both. Rosina went to one of Shooter's How to Draw Comics seminars.
Oh, wow.
And met their marketing guy, Clark Smith. And Clark said he'd be willing to talk to me as long as I understood that there was no work to come out of it. And this was when they were at Defiant. And I called up to make the appointments. Again, they said, there's no work. And I'm like, totally cool. I just want to pick your brain about making this transition because I can't jump in partially. I have to jump in.
Right.
And so he said, okay. I flew up to New York, went and saw a friend at Marvel, then went over to Defiant. First thing they say to me, hey, there's no work. And so, of course, I left with an assignment.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't care about level playing field. If you leave the door open a freaking crack, I'll get in.
So what was the assignment?
It was an assignment writing about, in those days, we really needed this kind of stuff. Comics just aren't for kids. And it was an article they were trying to, and they had me, it wasn't just about Defiant. They had me talk to like Matt Hawkins, who was with Rob Liefeld at that point, and talk to a bunch of retailers and really do a journalistic approach. And they were trying to peddle it to Rolling Stone and some other places like that, really thinking outside the box of what now we actually have a little bit of a resurgence of comics for kids, but for a good 15 years, we were all still out there going, hey, comics aren't for kids. And there were no comics for kids.
Right.
But sort of all interesting, dovetailed. Clark Smith introduced me to Bob and Carol Overstreet. Mm-hmm. And I started freelancing for the Overstreets. They sold their company to Steve Jeppy. Some of their people didn't want to make the move from Tennessee. I was willing to move to Maryland, and I moved there and became associate editor of Gemstone Publishing. And 27 years later, I'm vice president of publishing. And so the Overstreet comic book price guide is my bread and butter.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you're still doing that stuff?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's been, and as you can imagine, it's introduced me to an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
And unlike a lot of guys who are doing what I'm doing with crowdfunding, I love my day job. I just want to do more.
Right.
And I love the creative side of things. In the back of my head, that's what I always thought I would be doing. Sure. But the fact is, my daily gig is I run a book I grew up reading. And I remember the first time I saw number 6 at Ide's in a comic shop in Pittsburgh, the Will Eisner cover with the Spirit. Mm-hmm. And then pretty quickly after that, I saw number 5, that great Tarzan Kubert cover. And I figured, oh, this thing comes out every year. And I think number 8 was the first one I bought, had a Bill Ward Torchy cover and a bunch of female superheroes. And now, so if you go back and look, he had Don Newton sort of before he was really Don Newton.
That's my favorite cover.
Did the cover for number 4. And then he came back and did the cover for number 13.
Wait, okay, hold on now. What was on the cover to 4?
4 is the Justice Society.
Oh, so 13 is the one that has just
Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman.
That's my favorite.
Cover.
That's
Yeah,
my favorite one.
I
I
don't know
saw
what.
that as a kid, and I was like,
Oh my God, yeah. What's not to love about that? And it's beautiful renditions of all of them. And of course, it's that infinity cover with them reading the book. You know, um, that just sold at auction, but I don't know. At Heritage, but I don't know what it went for.
did it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, Don Newton was one of those guys I discovered as a kid, and I was just like, I love this guy's
By
stuff.
the time he was doing Batman, like I'd say, not that there's anything functionally wrong with him around Overstreet number 4, but by the time 13 comes along, he's Don Newton that we know,
Right.
and it's just great. But following Newton on number 4, you have Kubert, Eisner, Barks.
Wow.
So every year when I'm recruiting cover artists, that's the gauntlet that Bob has left me. every bit of that. And we've had, and I every time, like number 47, we had a Steranko Batman. And when Bob calls me, he goes, I've always wanted Steranko. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
And when Ethan did the Green Lantern and Flash cover on 48, Bob loved that too. And I think that was one of his all-time favorite covers, which I consider to be a really awesome compliment.
That's cool. Send first minute. Oh yeah, I guess I could do that.
You absolutely should. And I'll message you the address for Mark Huseman, our editor of the print version of the guide. And we definitely should get that lit. That is something we're really going to be working on this next year, is really reaching out to the crowdfunders and get the stuff submitted, because quite honestly, nobody else is going to advocate for you guys except you guys.
Yeah, no, yes. I definitely submit it. So
yeah, we've got a database that we use. I do appraising and stuff like that, and I got all of his scans in and uploaded all the information. So First Man is now part of that database. So
right, good.
Glad to see
as
these
well it should be.
Crowdfunders going on.
Absolutely. So a few years ago, I did a comic called Zombie Proof, and it was about a locksmith who in his high school days had visions of his town being attacked by zombies. His mistake was letting people know. So by the time they actually come around, he's sort of the town pariah, but he is a great locksmith and he does great work. So he sort of struggled by, and then all of a sudden the zombies come, and now he's sort of the anti-zombie quasi-messiah. And I like the working man versus the apocalypse kind of motif. And so I like, okay, how do I do this differently? So I went to the other place I grew up, which was Pittsburgh, and I created a vampire hunter named Dean, because I just thought Vampire Hunter Dean was funny.
Yeah.
It's pathetic reason to come up with a comic book, but yeah, okay. And he's an HVAC repairman.
Oh, nice.
And he discovers that the long abandoned neighborhood movie theater that he grew up going to as a kid is now inhabited by vampires, and so that became Vampire PA. And we did a one shot. We did an original miniseries. Did crowdfunded a trade paperback. Then we did a one shot called Vampire PA Bite Out of Crime. And in the middle of that, I just like, yeah, I think maybe we should have Al Capone show up. And it seemed entirely reasonable. And so I had written Al Capone Vampire almost immediately after that. But the downside of loving my day job is that when I started working on the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide to Lost Universes, which is a totally different kind of book than the main price guide. Everything in it's pictured.
Oh, nice.
And all sorts of great articles, all sorts of great stuff about original art.
Oh, that's
each of the companies that are listed in there. I got some great experts like Rick Offenberger and Paul Castiglia to write about the Archie and MLJs, because that's a lost universe that's died and come back and died and come back and died and come back. Obviously, a bit of it's a love letter to Defiant for them getting me into the business. Original Valiant, original Milestone, all sorts of great creative stuff from the 90s, the Ultraverse, Heroes Greatest, Comics Greatest World, CrossGen.
Are they in there?
Absolutely, man.
Oh, yes.
And now talk about some great books. And I was a couple people short. We had some furloughs during the initial phases of the lockdown, and a couple people left. They got other gigs, and I had not replaced them, so was really burning the candle at both ends. Where a lot of people were really smart and took advantage of the fact that some people were sitting around with a bunch of extra money and did good crowdfunding projects. I was doing my work projects, but I loved the book. It was a total labor of love, but I was doing I did 5.5 months of 16-hour days, because it was inventing a new template for us.
Right.
It was not just doing the guide and updating the prices and updating the articles and selling new ads. It was fundamentally this with a shoestring, with a really small staff.
Right.
So this has been sitting around waiting. Thankfully, Brendan and Brian Frame, my artists, and I've been collaborating with them for way too long. They seriously, we did a newspaper strip together called Antiques that ran in an antiquing publication. It was a pop culture auction mystery that ran for a little over a year. So they're actually working on the second issue of this now. I'm writing the third issue of it. So we're sort of going full speed ahead.
Awesome.
But the whole idea is very simple. It's Al Capone. He's a vampire.
I assume it's present day.
It is the most truth in advertising I've ever done with a title.
And it's present day.
Yeah,
pull the
it is. And the third issue, which is his vampire origin, will explain this.
Oh, cool. Well, let's play the video first and foremost.
Oh, please.
Hi, I'm C Vaughn, the creator of CAPONE Vampire. Some projects require an elaborate pitch. This one does not. It's Al Capone, and he's a vampire. But I promise our story has a lot more to it, too. The events spring out of Vampire PA, but you don't need to have read that one to get this one. There's a brief recap, but the setup is really straightforward. Al Capone is back, he's a vampire, and he's decided to become boss of Chicago again. We have art by Brendan Brian Frame, colors by House of Magic, letters by Mindy Lompkin, edits by Jason Oldcap Odom, and a ton of technical advice from our Palomino Scala. We also have an incredible variant cover from Dan Lawless, and if we hit a few stretch goals, we've got some incredible stuff up our sleeves. The book is ready to go to press. We just need your help to make it a reality. On behalf of our whole team, I'd like to thank you for checking out our crowdfunding effort and for your consideration. Thanks.
No, that's pretty cool.
And I really think comics should be fun.
And
it doesn't mean they can't be serious. And there's some great comics that are.
Right.
But even when I'm doing a dark and what is easily the most violent story I've ever written, come on, it's Al Capone. It has to be. And I might have mentioned this, but he's a vampire.
Yeah.
I was laughing the whole time when I was writing it, man. It's. I also have our main vampire character from Vampire PA that carries over into the series is a lady named Jocelyn, and I've always, ever since I was a kid, I just thought it was hysterical that nobody ever mentioned how Vampirella was dressed.
Right.
So I have her just showing up in these outrageous outfits, only people notice. Like,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
could you
yeah.
possibly be going in Dormont dressed like that?
Right.
And
Randy's asking, says, "Hi, JC. I backed Al Capone on Billy's show. Can you tell me more about the glow in the dark cover? Is it the white areas that glow?"
yeah, absolutely. That's our cover A. That top one you can see right there. And if you scroll down a bit, you'll see. There we go.
There it is.
Everything that's white on that is going to show up as glow in the dark.
Wow.
And it's a new printing plant that my print broker swears by. So
Okay.
I'm really cannot wait to see this. And truthfully, I jumped the gun. I wasn't supposed to even announce we were doing that until we hit 4,000. We're past it now, but I couldn't wait. I just yeah, no, we're doing it. I'm going to find a way that we're going to do that. And I'm pretty geeked out about it. I can't, this is an homage to Punch Comics number 12.
Cool.
And I've just always loved that cover. I did flip around in the original. The guy is in the left eye coming out, and I just thought it was more dynamic having him in the right eye. That's, in this case, it's Al Capone.
Yeah.
Shooting at Vampire Hunter Dean. And I also asked the guys, and they added the fangs to the skull.
Cool.
So, yeah, and I love the cover, but Randy, everything that's white there should show up as glow in the dark.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool. All right, so we'll go back up. So your first one it's a cover A Punch Comics homage.
Yep. And then we've got cover B is a Dan Lawless wraparound cover. Matter of fact, when we did this, I hadn't even met Dan even online yet.
Wow.
But I wrote a story for Scott Braden and Mike Malbrough's Kent Menace. That they handed me a character name, the Retro Mariner, and one sketch, and they go, "Okay, tell us about him." And I'm like, "Okay." And I wrote a 6-pager, and when I turned it in, I got this call. It goes, "This is just part 1, right?" And so now it's going to be 3 parts. But Dan was the artist they got for it, and freaking blew me away. Oh my gosh, his stuff was great. And so one of our stretch goals was getting that story from Kent Menace and running it as a backup story in this. And we've already added that, and it is beautiful. And the villain in the background with the tentacles coming out of his diving suit.
Oh yeah.
Is the Retro Mariner. And the girl also appears in that story. So I was really counting on the fact that people would hit that stretch goal when I had them do that that cover. Randy, listen, man, I'm glad to have your support at whatever level. I appreciate it if you want to get the glow in the dark. I think it's a kick-ass book.
It is cool. I do like Dan's a lot too. Wow, I just noticed. So you're going to be able to get this thing shipped out basically in July. So
yeah, I literally will. My sincere goal is to do it before San Diego, and that means enlisting Rosina as well, because I'm going to have to go to Diamond's Olive Branch warehouse the day that the books arrive, and then come back home and then go to San Diego, or actually Los Angeles first and then San Diego. So it's a challenge. We might, I can see it tipping into the first week of August, but that's the goal.
Yeah. No,
I'll be at the printer when the Indiegogo money comes in.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that part of that, the advantage of having the printer relationships that I do. I'm not treading on any of my work relationships, but they know me and they know that I'm going to deliver a book that they're not going to have a lot of problems with.
Right.
My designer is Dawn Guzzo, who is a Marvel bullpen veteran, and she's freaking aces, man. And if like you look at the inside front covers where I have my credits and indicia and stuff like that, it looks like it's freaking professional, not like like I did it.
Yeah.
And 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 that's the whole thing about being a good editor, a good manager, is like knowing what you can't do as well as somebody else,
Oh,
and
exactly.
and having the ego on behalf of the book, not on behalf of yourself.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, look, my book has a letterer. Could I have lettered it myself? Yeah, I know how to do lettering digitally, but would it have looked as good? No, not to me. I mean,
One of the
I
best
could have
things
lettered it, and most people probably would have been like, "That looks great."
Oh man, Andy, and one of the best things ever happened to me as a writer was my old roommate used to do our lettering, and he was out of town one weekend, and I had to letter my first comic.
You mean by hand?
And no, the truth is, I wish I had the skill to do that, because I always loved that. But no, just computer lettering.
Yeah.
And what I discovered was what JC the letterer discovered is that JC the writer at that point in his career was a wordy son of a bitch. And
you do learn that.
Oh my gosh. And Stan's rule was like no more than 28 words in a panel. And you better know when to break that.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
And so there's all these great experiences along the way, but you meet people and you can, okay, I can have a world-class designer, or I can fake my way through it. And people like I've done some inside front covers and some letters pages and stuff like that, and nobody ever said anything bad about them. But if I could have the best, why not get the best? Come on.
Yeah, totally. No, I hear you. I agree with that totally. I know how to do almost every aspect when it comes to putting a book together, a comic book together, but I also know what my strengths and weaknesses are, and that's when I call on people that are better than me. And I can guide them with what I want.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You still gotta have your thumb on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that blew me away about the story I did with Dan was he penciled, I mean, it's digital, but he penciled, colored, and lettered.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow.
No, that's cool. And that's going to be in the back of this book, you said?
Absolutely. We've got a couple of backup stories. And they're all very different, but I think people will enjoy them.
What's the total page count of the book, so people?
It's 40. It's a 48 pager.
Cool.
I do have another story that is finished that I can drop in if we really take off, like I think we're in the last 9 days now. And if it were to really take off down the stretch, I might do that. It wouldn't delay me too much to get it colored. And if we start getting close, I'll get it colored and just sit on it. It's another unrelated story for this. We also have a preview of issue 2 in there, and some interviews and behind the scenes kind of stuff. That's the version without the logo and trade dress. That's the Indiegogo exclusive.
Okay. And now, what? I was going to ask. Oh, damn it! What was going to ask? It's 40 pages or 48 pages.
Right.
Damn it! There's something I was going to ask.
How did you get hooked up with American Mythology Productions?
Jim Kohoric, who runs American Mythology, was my absolute best brand manager for me at the time, when Gemstone was right upstairs from Diamond, and we're their sister company. And there were things where I always called that we were getting treated extra fair, so they could point to the other vendors, go, see, we make Gemstone go through these hoops. The advantage I always had was I can come downstairs and stand by somebody's desk until they want me to go away, in which case I usually would prevail. Jim helped me understand the Diamond system really well, and he's since left the company, but he made me understand what we had to do in terms of why we had to hit at certain dates to make on-time things, just real basic direct market stuff. But it was my education with it, and he's also a great comic writer. He did Army of Darkness for Dynamite.
Okay.
And it was just freaking great. And presently He's writing Fright Night for American Mythology, but he's also had some great stuff. I did Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe for them.
Oh yeah.
So wait, how? I don't even know. I've never heard of American Mythology. What is it?
It's a small, I call it small to medium press.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of indie books, so I recognize the label because I get occasionally a book, a title or something from them. I am a Stargate nut, so I know I got some of them.
Oh, good.
I think it was like Techno Freak or one of the other ones.
Oh yeah, they're doing that. They've got that going on.
I think that's the current one I'm getting from them.
And they've had some, like their free comic book day one was Three Stooges, and it was all these different iterations of it. And it was really funny.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just happen to recognize that the logo on there.
And so what will happen? What will happen is my deal with them is a pretty great relationship. It won't be in the direct market in this form. It'll be a 32 pager, and they'll have their ads that they can. Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Randy. We appreciate that. Thank you.
But what I want to do is I want to hit when we can hit with all 4 issues of Al Capone and hit it monthly. One of the critical problems for small and medium press is in the direct market is delivering on time. People, if you tell the fans bi-monthly, fine. If you tell them quarterly, even that's fine. It's a different age than when we were growing up, where quarterly or bi-monthly was the kiss of death. If you come out when you said you were going to, you're okay with them. And but one of the things is that a lot of the creators that have been working with, I'll say with Jim and with other small and medium press, is they don't hit on time, and I'm not going to be subject to that.
Right. No, and that's true. It's like you said, as long as you stick to it, like you said, bi-monthly, quarterly, hell, twice a year, even just once a year, if you stick to what you say you're going to do.
If you hit the time you said, fans respect you and the retailers can trust you. Yep,
exactly.
And it is the retailer's trust when it comes to ordering books from a small press that you're relying on.
Yep. You got a bunch of nice add-ons too. That's why I was kind of keeping it up on the screen.
Thank you for that. Dennis, I really appreciate that. Look at my covers and just see how fortunate I've been.
Dude, those are really nice. I like that.
Mark Wheatley did the first one there for Vampire PA, and that is the trade paperback collecting the original miniseries. That was also our cover to #1. Mark did my Vampire PA logo, and he also, and I had called him to see if he had an assistant at that point, if I could get the assistant to color the book, because I knew I'd have Mark Wheatley's eye looking at these books, right?
Yep.
And Mark had a hole in his schedule, and he colored it. And so he created our color motif. Yeah, this guy who did Mars and Breathtaker and all this stuff, coloring my book. And we've collaborated on some stuff. And Mike's a great friend, and honestly, on production stuff, even to this day, still a mentor to me. But that's it. The next one, we did a limited version of the trade. And it has a tipped-in signature plate. Billy did the cover for that. Wes Hartman did the coloring, and that's only been seen on I think there were maybe 200 copies of that or something, literally we had everybody sign it. Our letterer, my partner in the venture, and the frames, and Billy and Mark Wheatley, and. So and I sort of look at it who gets the letterer to sign? Well, I do, because he's part of the team.
Yeah, sure.
And then Billy did the cover for the main cover for Bite Out of Crime, which was the one shot where Al Capone first appears. Asha Kishna did the DD cover. That's one of the main characters, who starts out merely as Dean's girlfriend / fiance, and then eventually becomes a vampire. Against her will, and that's part of the story going forward. And then the other covers, the 2 bedtime stories covers, bedtime stories for impressionable children, I say they're wildly inappropriate for children. They're mildly inappropriate for children. Um, but those covers are by James Nelms, who actually drew the first comic strip I ever wrote in college.
Wow,
And
those are nice covers.
Yeah, I like them.
He's a badass. And the last one is my novel, Second Wednesday,
Cool.
a murder mystery set in my adopted hometown of Hearst, Texas, where the murder rate has skyrocketed to like 0.75% a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've sort of decided to become my hometown's Jessica Fletcher. So like when I show up, people die. It's a murder mystery. It does have a minor comic book element as a B story.
Oh, cool.
And I have a freaking Joe Jusko cover. So how bad could it be?
I was going to say that is classic crime like noir cover
and
from like
I
old school.
cannot understand why crime publishers aren't beating down his door. He's got like 3 or 4 portfolio pieces that you would look at. Like why Joe Jusko needs a portfolio piece is beyond me.
Yeah.
But okay, so if I get to say I'm the genius who said Joe Jusko should do a crime cover, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. You should I think because you said that the Dan Lawless 6-pagers definitely going to be in it as a backup.
Yeah.
I think you should put some pages up.
I've done it in I think one of the updates, but you're right. I absolutely should do that.
Yeah, I pop them in on the campaign page because it can't hurt. Because it says 9 days left. Is that 9 for your first 30 or your?
Yeah, it is. Well, we'll go in demand while we're printing. Okay. But I'm really committed to doing my level best to get out. When I said I've almost always beat the day that I say, and I realized with San Diego and everything going on this year that it may not happen. And this, if I had to pick a year to be slow on something, and this is where people probably understand it. But I always deliver extra comics, send them something beyond
cool.
what I've promised. It helps. I'll just buy extra copies of our free comic book day issue that I write for Overstreet, and do that, or some of my previous series. I have a mystery series called McCandless and Company, and I also have Zombie Proof, and sometimes I send those along too.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I just thought, here's the thing. We're the great thing about this, and this, we're benefiting from people's trust. And this is so old fashioned. This is like Middle Ages having patrons fashions, and you just want to reward the people who took the jumper and backed you.
Right.
And that's my approach to it. Just like when I was first doing Vampire PA, and we were coming out through Moonstone, and they were absolutely great to work with, but they were just like everybody else in the small press. They had to creep the price upward to $3.99, and I was just like, oh man, how can I be doing a comic? People know me as the Overstreet guy.
Right.
How can I be asking for people for this when there was still a lot of $2.99 comics at that point? And so I would put like 30 pages of art and story.
Oh yeah.
I would just put it extra. I just cram the thing full if I could. I always was trying to do something to make up for the price. And I can't help. I grew up when I grew up. If I cut a couple extra lawns, I could afford all the Marvel books.
Yep.
And I want people to have a great experience reading my stuff and feel like they got a deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Even though this is a lot more expensive than going to a store and buying a single comic.
That's very cool.
Yep. But that is crowdfunding. And I think you build a very loyal audience, and as long as you deliver what you say, they're going to love you and they'll keep following you.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that. And I think that's one of the great things about it. I've always felt like that people in general want to feel like they belong to something. They're on a team. That's why when you have a sports franchise, you say we beat them,
right?
Because like you and I did, right?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I think the comic book people have that a little bit more. We want to be part of something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I know because I bought into the Ultraverse and I
Mm-hmm.
bought into CrossGen that
Yep.
I wanted to be part of something on its ascendancy.
Yeah.
And I think that that's magnified here, where it's down to creator to fan relationships. And I
It
think
is
that's,
too, and I think even the fans, they're supporting us, they're helping us put our books out there, and even the mundane fulfillment part, you just think it's kind of cool. Like, man, they're fulfilling this too. They're doing they're literally doing everything.
yeah, absolutely.
Larger campaigns. Some people will use fulfillment services and stuff, and that's totally cool. And if there's somebody in town, I might think about it, but there's not where I live. It's
And yeah, for me, that's like a if I get bigger category question. Right. But I recognize that that's out there because I've gone up and it's funny. I say up, but it's really over to Billy's because it's an east-west thing.
Yeah.
But I've gone up and helped with that on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And my our mutual friend Mike Soloff flew in from Mexico to help Billy for a couple of weeks with
that's cool
fulfillment. And to me, the camaraderie of that is really great. And you share the pictures of that kind of thing. I took some great pictures of Billy, not for this book, but for the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a whole team of people just working there. It was a hive of activity. And it made, again, I think it was that feeling part of something. Like all these guys were busting their ear in to get all these books out.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, I did pop up. Randy had said you're only $5.92 away from the Tucci trading card stretch. So I've kind of showing that up there so everybody can see it.
And that's it's just a beautiful piece. And what's really cool about this, when you get into stuff that, and I just love the way an artist thinks when he's committed to a piece. It's just it's the coolest part of the process to me when somebody comes up with something I didn't think of. Right. Obviously, Vampire PA, I've mentioned it's set in suburban Pittsburgh. Okay. If you look at that, you can just see it right there. The little clasp on her right side on the dress.
Yep.
It's a Steelers logo.
Steelers. I was just gonna say it looks like Pittsburgh.
That's cool.
I didn't ask Billy to do that. He did that, and I just thought it was cool because he's no Steelers fan. So
now, I mean, I can go on record saying if I ever do anything like that, I will never draw a Packers thing. So but I'll throw Cowboy stuff in there all the time because a winning book
no taste
leads America's team.
I will confess that when in the waning days when Coach Landry was there, if it didn't hurt the Steelers, I had no trouble rooting for the Cowboys because I respected the heck out of him.
Oh yeah, Landry was great.
Landry was great. That was
I will say that I saw on basically like a goal line kind of setup.
Yeah.
I saw Herschel Walker go airborne at the 5 and make it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, honest to goodness. I think the ball was on the 3. The snap, Danny White drops back.
Yep.
I can see this in my head. And I swear he goes airborne at the 5 and makes it in.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I remember him playing watching the game.
Herschel was the bomb.
And I was working at Avis when like 5 of the guys he was traded for to Minnesota came in. I remember Jesse Solomon being one of them, but I don't remember who the other guys were. But they came in and rented a car from us.
Oh, wow.
At least Randy got it right. I was just going to make the comment, though. The Super Bowl trophy's not named after Landry. Who's it named after? Oh, the other L, Lombardi. That's right. That is my team. I mean, it should be the real team. It should be the Landry trophy. It should be the Landry.
There was a great standee, a full figure Spider-Man standee figure from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff that like bigger theaters could have got.
Right.
And back when Krause was around, before they were bought by F&W, and Comics Buyer's Guide was still a weekly tabloid size. My friends up there knew that I had a soft spot for the Packers because I respected that their fans were there whether they sucked or whether they were great.
That's right.
And that's how I grew up. Now, I happen to grow up in a period where the Steelers really didn't have a lot of bad periods until like the middle 80s. But I really respected the fact that they were there for that. So I had said something about that. So they sent me a cheesehead.
Oh, nice.
And in our office, at my office for Gemstone was actually in Diamond International Galleries, which was just posh as all get out. We had that Spider-Man figure standing there with wearing a cheesehead.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that I would have loved to have seen a picture of. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the nice thing about the cheesehead is when you turn it upside down and I'm in my office, and if I really have to go, I can just use that.
And I thought you were going to say something about carrying snacks, but I guess
right, exactly. That's what a normal person would say. But we all know Andy's not normal.
I don't have a bathroom in my office, and when you gotta go, you gotta go. So that cheesehead, you just flop it upside down. It's perfect.
I did get you a Cowboys mug. That's what it's there for.
No. That's for fine liquor.
Now, I'm not a Jerry Jones fan. I've always felt like Jerry's like, class, how much is that? I'll buy some.
Yeah.
And it's funny how my Jerry Jones always sounds like Ross Perot, but I can't seem to help it.
They're the same. They both have big ears.
Just Jerry having to be the GM is just like, oh.
You know, it's like we're supposed to believe that the team that won the Super Bowls and the carryover to the guy from Oklahoma wasn't all Jimmy Johnson.
Right.
We're supposed to believe that Jerry Jones built that team.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones wrote the checks for that team. I'm not a huge Jimmy Johnson fan, but there's no denying what he did.
Oh yeah.
In a very short time.
Oh, they went from 1-15. That was Aikman's first season.
I was there for that year.
Yeah, and then the season after that, Super Bowl.
So what was really great. Babe Laufenberg, who was Troy's backup and then was a broadcaster for years and a good one. When the ballpark in Arlington, which is now the old stadium there, was opening, a guy who had worked with us at Avis had become the voice of Reunion Arena, where the Mavericks and the Stars played before the new place. And he also was in sports radio. And we were there for the opening series preseason against the Mets. And this friend of ours, Ty, brought Babe Laufenberg up to our seats. And so we're all sitting there. Of course, everybody in the freaking Metroplex knew who he was. It doesn't matter if you're the backup quarterback or the third backup quarterback for the Cowboys. Everybody in the ballpark in Arlington is going to know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
So then for the next 20 minutes, people are trying to figure out who the hell we were.
Right.
Like, why did he come sit with them? That was pretty great.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been a fan since I was a kid, and like you said, when they suck, I'm still a fan. When they're good, obviously I am.
Yeah, I will tell you that I genuinely respect diehard fans of just about any team except the Washington Capitals. But in all seriousness, they're as bad as Yankee fans.
Who, Cowboys fans?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, I don't know how. I don't know anything
Marcus
about.
Is right. All the Cowboys talk. Ugh.
Oh, be quiet. I don't know anything about Yankees fans. I know if you say like Philly fans are awful. Eagles fans.
Well, that's not a hard sell to me. I'm from the other side of the state. I think they're the worst fans.
Chicago
I think they're the worst fans. In sports.
Yeah.
You know what? Chicago fans are tough, but they don't throw batteries at you.
No. What they do is when you get you go to Soldier Field, you get a brand new leather Packers jacket. They dump beer all over it and literally ruin the brand new leather jacket. Got an issue.
Truthfully, I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see. I absolutely would concede that point. But and Marcus, I'm not talking about all Yankee fans, but you've got to know this is true. There are people who are only Yankee fans when they're winning. And there are people who are only Cowboy fans when they're winning.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like that. I've never respected that. And here's the thing. Like I said, I was there for the 1-15 season. I was in the seats. Okay. There are a lot of people the next 2 years later, when they really start cranking out some wins, there are a lot of people who's like, oh yeah, I was there for that. I'm like, the game wasn't even shown locally because there were not enough people there.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, I just,
No, I hear you.
We're the only team that's owned by the fans, the only professional team in any professional sports. I've got it on my wall downstairs, Andy. If you want to go revisit it again, my name, owner, Green Bay Packers. Oh, yeah. We have voting rights. We have can you say? No.
Do you get as an owner, do you get like a check once a year when
you don't get a check. You don't get a check.
You don't get a check?
No, we
just get a pat on the back. Thanks for contributing.
Well, we help. Our stadium gets expanded every time because we are the ones that pay for it. We don't make the taxpayers ever do it. But we get to vote. So we get full voting rights. So I get to vote on whenever they do it. Now, if I lived back up there, I would get to go up to it, to the Don Hudson Field and stuff. They have all hors d'oeuvres. They have all the rollout. It's wonderful. It's like you're a king, like an actual shareholder versus, oh, look at me. I have a star. Ooh, I'm a fan. Whatever.
I'll go with you.
I got to say, Randy Howell's got a great comment here about being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Yes.
I think this is how, before the Steelers started their run in the 70s, that's how it was in Pittsburgh. It was, they had won nothing from their founding. They had barely had winning seasons from their founding.
Well, but you look at the diehard fans of like the Browns.
Yeah. Know? I mean, see, that's what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And Marcus has said, he's been a fan since he was a kid of the Yankees. And you know what? Somebody like Billy Tucci wears it on his sleeve. Islanders fan, all this stuff like that. And he'll take whatever grief you're giving him when they're bad.
Yep.
And sorry, my computer is dying here, so I'm gonna plug it in. You can respect anybody's team that they like if they're into it.
Chicago Cubs, look at that. The Cubs fans for 100 years.
Yep.
Yep. Mets fans in New York.
55 years for them. Cowboys are halfway there. What can I say?
So true, you bastard. They will win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, damn it.
They will. Well, man, I am so glad we got to meet you today. For those of you that are watching this, not live, which a lot of people tend to watch it later on, I am going to leave JC's link to his campaign down below, so you can just click on it and go in and make sure you back it. For starters, I hope everybody gives JC, give him a quick round of applause.
We have the
very nice audience.
Look at that. So you didn't know that we have a live studio audience.
That's very impressive.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So we really appreciate you coming on. We hope you get some backers. We hope this really takes off for you. Come back on anytime. It was great talking to you.
Glad to. And Andy, I will drop you a note with Mark's address so you can send first man into the guide.
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely do that. Send, one and
two. I love the first one. I don't know if I got the second one. I don't think maybe I did, but I got to change that.
But thank you. I really appreciate that. And I've always loved the price guide and stuff. So that's very cool. So
I get mine every year. Matter of fact, I've got a whole stack of them. And I even just picked up the new Overstreet. They've got it on How to Grade Comics, and they did an update on it. So my new one just came a couple weeks ago.
Very nice. Very nice. What was your first guide?
Well, like I said, I know for a fact mine was the Don Newton one.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore, but it's one that I should actually go to eBay and see if I can score one to add.
If they don't have, okay, I'm gonna do something while we're talking here. I'm gonna look. We might have a 13.
Oh.
That's such a great cover.
Dude, it's inked by, I love Joe Rubenstein's inks on Dom, and I believe Joe inked that cover, and I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. Like, the full book that they did together was that one issue of Infinity Ink, because Don was supposed to take over.
Yes.
Artist on the book. And then
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a memory, isn't it?
Oh my God, Don stuff. I own 2 pages. Yeah, I used to have 3 pages of his art. I had a page from the Avengers Annual. And then I sold that, but I still have a page from Shazam because I'm a huge Captain Marvel guy. So I've got a page from his Shazam stuff with a nice full figure Shazam. And I've got an Aquaman splash page where Aquaman's swimming down and he's upside down and stuff. Guy, I love Don stuff.
We have check out what you can get on eBay.
Okay.
The 13s we have are soft covers. They are uncirculated and they're $85.
Oh, that's not bad. So is it just at the web? Send me the link to that if you will.
I will.
Yeah.
Katie Keene.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the oldest one that I've got.
Nice. That's just a couple years later. I think that number 14 or
yeah, it's 14.
Yeah.
And Don was what? 13?
Don was 13, and then 15 is that great CC Beck Captain Marvel family.
Oh, I have to check that one out.
You know what's really great about that one is as a kid, I just wasn't into Captain Marvel. I just thought, and it's definitely something I acquired as an adult.
Yeah.
But when I started at Gemstone, the original for that hung over our photocopier, so I was looking at it.
Did it really?
Day, and that's how I fell in love with Captain Marvel.
And it was CC Beck, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love me. I was a fan of Captain Marvel since I was a kid, and CC Beck's work is just always, even to this day, I think it would hold up.
Oh, it's just killer stuff, and really, the only Golden Age books I've ever owned are Captain Marvel Adventures.
I've got a few of them. I've got a Wiz. Well, I've got my pride in my collection of that is the one of Shazam and Captain Marvel and Billy Batson on the cover together.
Oh yeah.
I've got a CGC copy of that. It's a 4.0, but it still was pricey as hell. So
absolutely. And the great thing is that's man, it's just such great comics.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally. Well, dude, thank you again for coming on, and send me that message for sure.
I will do, man, and absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you, our audience, and the chat's been great. And I recognize some of the names, and some of them are new, and I'm glad for that too. And again, just thanks so much.
All right,
thank you. We'll talk
thanks
to you
again,
later.
JC.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.